A lot of the time, we look at ourselves and we say, I know my limits. I don't know if I could do that. Well, these gamers didn't. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 gamers who achieved the impossible. At number 10, in 2016, a streamer by the name of The Happy Hob managed to get a no-hit run in Dark Souls. And I mean the series Dark Souls, not the first game in that series, also entitled Dark Souls. As in, he completed Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 back-to-back and never got hit at all. And he was the world's first gamer to do it, which is not shocking. Those are difficult games, and that would require an amount of patience and care that I do not have. I can't even pretend that I would be able to do this. He actually did the whole series twice too, because the first time he got to the last boss in Dark Souls 3, you know, the end of the third game that he was doing all 3 games in the series hit-free, he got hit. And he had to start at Dark Souls 1 in order to say that he beat the entire series without getting hit consecutively. The whole thing is kind of a totally insane undertaking, and the fact that he managed to do it is amazing. And at number 9, a Resident Evil 2 speedrunner who specializes in no-hit speedruns. A gentleman by the name of Carcinogen, who has been speedrunning back since 2006, has done some pretty amazing speedruns of Resident Evil 2. The remake, that is. What's interesting is that during the course of the game, he doesn't really do a lot of killing. He does shoot, but generally just to temporarily stun or set back and get past them. What he says is the reason he does these no-hit speedruns is because he believes that it forces you to play the game as efficiently as possible. You're doing the thing that will allow you to do the next thing. You're not really looking for the valor of battle, but rather the next thing in the game. Resident Evil 2 is an interesting one on account. Pretty much every enemy has a different amount of shots that are required to down them, so it makes good sense he does it the way he does, and you'll have to watch it, it's super interesting. And at number 8, a YouTuber by the name of Desk played cooperative battle mode in Street Fighter Alpha on his own using 2 hands and 2 controllers. He also killed at it. Absolutely killed. He played as Dio and Ken, and watching it is hard to believe that there's only one person doing it. At times, moves are extremely well coordinated, where he's intentionally using both characters to attack in a certain way, and then at times they're doing things that are just completely independent of each other, and it all works out way too well. He said it took him about a week to do it, as in to come up with the idea, figure out how to do it, and then learn it, and then perform it more or less. But it is really smooth and really genuinely just one of the coolest things to see these 2 guys whomping on M. Bison and it just actually being one guy. I know my brain can't do that. My brain can barely comprehend that he did that. And number 7, you know how in Fallout 4, you're kind of expected to kill some folks? I mean, if you really want to, you can avoid killing a lot of people, but not all people, right? Wrong. Now, when you hear no kill, you're probably thinking, so no one dies. No, no kill means that the game registers 0 kills. So, when Kyle Hinckley decided to try to test Todd Howard's statement that it wasn't really a concern of theirs if you could beat the game without a kill, in a game that also kind of forces you to kill at some points, by all accounts, you're genuinely not allowed not to kill. Kyle Hinckley, on the other hand, gets other people to do the killing for him. A big part of that was making a character that was entirely charisma-based. Completely weak. Don't spend any points in strength, you're not going to use it. But eventually, you can easily turn people on each other. And that's the only way to get through some areas. Areas you would otherwise have to kill in. So, definitely not a pacifist run. Still, really clever on Kyle's parts. And a streamer by the name of gameranx decided he was going to beat Fallout without getting hit at all. Now, this is one of the hardest types of run out there, just in any game, because obviously games are made to throw obstacles at you, one of which is enemies. But Fallout 4 has a large number of different encounters, and they all require different equipment, different strategies, different elements at play. It took him at least 8 attempts, possibly 9 according to him, and it took over 25 hours to beat the game. He actually did die once, but it was because of a glitch, so I don't think anybody's gonna care about that. I don't understand how you beat basically any game at all without being hit. At number 6, there's a guy by the name of Scott Buchanan who plays Super Mario 64 without pressing the A button if possible. Now, this guy's runs are absolutely insane because I can't pick out a point where he jumps. If there's a place he can't reach, he can often lure an enemy to that point and give himself a necessary boost by dodging at him, bouncing off of him, and up. I've watched a couple of this guy's videos. They are not like any other Mario 64 runs you've seen. Bearing in mind they are tool assisted, that doesn't necessarily mean it isn't skillful and incredibly well planned. Essentially, you play the game in slow motion, do very careful movements. This guy actually does a ton of math in order to do it. It's completely amazing to look into, and every single one of these runs is insane. At number 5, a gentleman by the name of Terry Garrett is known for beating various video games. For instance, Oddworld Abe's Odyssey and Legend of Zelda the Ocarina of Time without seeing the games. Now, if you've ever played Oddworld, I don't need to tell you how incredibly impressive that is. Oddworld is so much about timing and platforming and avoiding and sneaking and rushing when something doesn't go the way you expect it to. And Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, while maybe not as timing oriented, is not something I could imagine even having any idea at all what to do if I could not see what was on screen. Terry Garrett lost his sight at age 10, but that didn't stop him from gaming. You see, he uses sound entirely, which is, I don't even know how you do that in games. Especially older games where the sound definitely isn't as good. It took Garrett about 5 years to beat Ocarina of Time, but literally just like listening to it, that's astounding. At number 4, a gamer beat Fallout New Vegas on the hardest difficulty setting without killing anyone or dying. Obviously, you don't get anything for doing something like this. It's something you come up with yourself and put forward to, I guess, prove your mettle to yourself. Fallout New Vegas is a different game. It's certainly what I would consider the best of the modern Fallouts, and it gives you a lot of flexibility. You do end up having to trick a lot of people into killing for you, but I mean, you're gonna hear this elsewhere. It's not necessarily about a pacifist run, it's about not racking up any kills. Or dying. Unless you think that he did not beat it without getting killed. He had a permadeath mod installed just to make it horrific and impossible. I mean, amongst the hardcore Fallout gamers out there, Retinum, the person who took this task on, certainly must rank up there. At number 3, an EVE Online player visited every single star system in the entire EVE Online universe. A player by the name of Katia Se spent 10 years visiting all 7,805 star systems in EVE Online. Yes, 10 years. She started in 2009 and finished in 2019. And keep in mind, that's not just flying around. You need to earn money and manage resources like fuel, for instance. I really doubt all she did for an entire decade was fly to the next system. I mean, that's probably not even possible. So this is a person who, with the goal of visiting the entirety of the universe, most likely had to work, earn money, and maintain on top of charting courses to each new system. This would probably be an organizational nightmare, on account you can't really start from one end of the system and go to the next. Honestly, it's just cool as hell and shows such a dedication, and I don't know if anybody else would even try to do that. At number 2, 10,000 Elite Dangerous players started an 18-week trek across the galaxy. This is based on a voyage that a player called Aramis did called Distant Worlds. He did this, I think, in 2015, and this took place in 2019. Essentially, the idea was to have everybody transport materials and build a base at the center of the galaxy, except it's 10,000 people. I mean, can you imagine doing like a unified in-game action with 10,000 people being part of something in that way? Even though it's virtual and there is no physical product at the end of it, that is a feeling of community that you can get rarely in real life. I mean, that's kind of amazing. That many people dedicating their time to a cause, any cause, even a pretend one in this way is just, it's weirdly hopeful and makes you feel good. And finally, at number 1, a racing simulator veteran made the transition from virtual car to real car and beat a real Formula 1 driver on a real track. And to say the very least, that's awesome. A driver by the name of Enzo Bonito beat Lucas Di Grassi on January 19th, 2019 on a track in Mexico. Now, what's significant about this is that Formula One drivers often train literally for decades and progress through a structure that is often very matched to the skill level. And this guy was 23 years old, could not have even driven a car for decades at that point, and beat a professional driver, like a good professional driver. This really says, in my opinion, a lot about how we simulate racing now, because you can transfer the experience to actual racing. Now, that doesn't mean if you're good at the simulator, you're good at racing. I'm sure there was a crash course type, okay, here's this type situation. But still, clearly, those skills were transferable. Big wow. Huge wow. And that's all we have for today. I obviously love when people do the impossible. How about you? Which one of these stories resonated with you the most? Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. And if you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. So click subscribe and enable all notifications. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time right here on gameranx.